video. Yeah, it's probably going to be a long video. I'll probably put segments together, do this in pieces, whatever. But the good news is I think we've actually getting somewhere where half of the day is actually playing my video and then responding to it, which makes it just so obvious where our disagreement is. And it's right back to the beginning where I said we just can't communicate because we're fundamentally different creatures, altogether different. You know, you're not impressed by consciousness. I am. I've experienced consciousness. I'm impressed as hell, okay, by the power of the sensations. You're not impressed. That's all you're saying basically, is you're just not impressed. You just don't think it means anything. You could create a whole bunch of suffering in the universe. Wouldn't matter, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, well, I'll get to that. Okay, I took notes on that. And so at least we get into it. This video, I stopped right here because I'm saying, I just can't even watch this. This is so fucking idiotic, childish, immature, moronic. This is suffering, he says. Sticking pinprick. He's demonstrating suffering to us. Now, I think we all know that a pinprick is about 1/1,000,000th of the suffering that one cancer patient endures in 1 hour. Right? It's 1,000,000 to 1 hour. I mean, the ratio is so preposterously irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's so preposterously insufficient a demonstration of suffering. So why don't you take a hammer and bash some of your teeth out? Or better yet, take a hammer and smash one of your testicles, and then testify to me about how suffering's nothing. But this is a silly demonstration. It doesn't demonstrate anything but your lack of maturity and your lack of intellectual integrity to think you can call this suffering on planet Earth. It's beneath childish. A child wouldn't even resort to such a silly scheme. I'm going to get away with this. No, you didn't get away with it. You just demonstrated that you are as described. You will go to no low. You will sink as low as possible to defend some notion in your fucking goddamn head. And having evidence with integrity, no, you don't give a shit. You'll play a game like that. So whatever. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's so disgusting. Like I said, revolting. I mean, it revolts my consciousness. It's sickening to say this is the level of asshole I'm going to communicate with. Why am I communicating with an asshole this low? Yeah, it just makes you. You know, I'm going to start doing the video before the video, so, you know, unfortunately. But it just made me think of the Hawking's has this silly proposition, right? That aliens, if they came here, they would abuse us, you know, butt fuck us and then eat us. And, you know, I think rational people say, there's no way aliens could get across space and be that stupid. That they would come all the way across space and they wouldn't have any appreciation for consciousness. And they would just sit there and soil our consciousness, so to speak. Just completely have no diamond in it whatsoever. No value whatsoever. It's a ludicrous proposition. I think Carl Sagan would think it was a ludicrous proposition. I think a lot of intelligent people would just say that's a ludicrous proposition. But it isn't ludicrous if it's a holiday, right? If it's a holiday coming from here, he's worse than those stupid bug fucking aliens. Because, yeah, he can't see it. It's all pinpricky. Anyway, so anyway, we'll get to, yeah, I only got 10 minutes into this thing, which is hilarious. And, you know, but like I said, this is the good news is that we're getting to the real deal. So what is the real meaning BS? What's with this real meaning BS? And so he's trying to say now that I'm saying, because he can't understand metaphors apparently, that I'm saying that besides your conscious experience, I'm saying there's some other thing we're creating. No, there's your tasting. When you have consciousness, you're tasting your conscious. The conscious experience is in the tasting. The revulsion is in the tasting. The revulsion is in the smell. That's the happening. The happening is the conscious event. I'm just saying the fact that it's a happening in a vessel doesn't mean anything. So I'll go back to my example of any other machine on Earth. It just doesn't matter what dishwasher is washing dishes, what refrigerator is refrigerating goods. It just matters how much goods are refrigerated or how many dishes are washed. It matters of what the experience is that they're having. It doesn't matter that it's happening in individual devices. The individual device thing is totally irrelevant. I'm saying to you personally, I'm smart enough to understand that my consciousness is not super consciousness. I'm not Superman with super consciousness. That all the other beings having these sensations are having these sensations. And it is these sensations that I'm impressed by. I'm not impressed by consciousness. I'm impressed by the sensations produced in consciousness. You can't say that any clearer, right? Yeah, you really can't. And so he thinks he's doing this scrutiny thing, and this isn't scrutiny. This constant saying to them, so I'll just put it on you. So he's saying I'm doing this constantly, suffering sucks, and in the universe thing, and he's constantly doing this to them thing. So here's a fundamental conflict, right? That yes, I'm saying I don't really care about this idea of naming the conscious machines and saying what is each conscious machine doing. No, I'm just interested in which ones are being tortured and which ones are in bliss, and that's the only thing that really matters is what's their state. What's their state? What state are they in? And that's all that matters. That's my assertion. And I'm asserting it based on the fact that I've personally experienced consciousness. I can't do it any other way, right? If I'm a witness to a crime, all I can do is testify to what I'm witnessing. I can't give you proof. I can't give you a videotape of what I saw. I can only testify to my experience with it. I'm testifying to my personal experience with consciousness. I'm telling you, I'm fucking impressed by the difference between a cupcake and a nail in my eye, and I'm saying that I'm impressed because it's an impressive sensations. You're not impressed. Okay, so that's the difference between me and you. You're not impressed. I'm impressed, and I have logical knowledge that the impressive event is happening in all the other conscious machines. Really. So he calls this slogans. Yeah, so suffering sucks is a political assertion. That's a political statement. Suffering sucks. Whatever. Alright, intrinsic value. Conscious experience, pinprick equals suffering. So I don't know exactly why I put that there, but he did make some sort of argument about... So we know it's this intrinsic value thing. He thinks value can only be used as a verb, and he has no concept. He just can't conceptually understand what I'm saying when I'm saying, when I'm personally experiencing it. I'm just acknowledging the fact that the experience itself has a definite qualitative difference, and the only quality difference it has is in the sense of good and bad. That's the only meaningful sense. It has good and bad flavor, period. And whatever consequential reactions we have to those sensations is, yeah, okay, that's each personal machine can deal with it its own way. But my point is its existence of the good and the bad is just not debatable. It is, that's the flavor it is. It's called bad, disgusting, grotesque, horrible, awful. That's its flavor. You can't make it into something else. There's shit-flavored sensations and there's yummy flavored sensations, and that's all they are. He thinks truth of experience is only subjective, and has no objective reality. So again, we're talking about an experience. That's what we're talking about. It's an experience. It happens through time. We experience consciously a thing. I'm saying the thing has obvious good and bad qualities, and it's not just good and bad to me. It's a good and bad event in the universe. When I'm suffering in the universe. I'm not just suffering like in some closed jar somewhere. I'm suffering in the universe. It's happening in the universe. I don't think that's a preposterous bit of verbiage to say that when things happen, they happen in the universe. I mean, it sort of needs to be understood because, again, what accountancy can there possibly be if I'm going to say the universe begins and ends with me, and then it's a new universe over there, and then it's a new universe over there. Everybody's a new universe. And that's a silly way to look at existence, in my opinion. Preposterously silly. Value verb is the only value. So again, that's another argument. He just seems, yeah, but he's going to say you're misusing the word value if you think anything has intrinsic value. You're not allowed to say the words intrinsic value. I mean, I have qualified it by saying intrinsic value. So for the people who don't understand the word value in any other sense but verb. I'm saying here's another sense of this word. It's called intrinsic. It doesn't really matter what you think. It is a fact. It is intrinsically valuable. And yes, I'm saying sentient organism consciousness is the only thing in the universe that has this quality of intrinsic value. It doesn't need a sentience to show up and say, I value it. It doesn't need something to show up and say, I am recognizing your value. It's intrinsic. It's not like a diamond or gold or anything else that some person uses to, rub cream on their nipples or something. It's not some fucking thing that's valuable because they need it. Okay? It's just valuable, period. You don't understand that? Fine. You're too stupid for this conversation. Whatever. Conscious experiences has similarity to many other things. So, yeah, that was a statement he made that was kind of obscure and weird, but I'm just saying he basically is arguing that there's many things like consciousness in the universe. That there is somehow this isn't this completely different than everything else in the universe. And certainly I'm going to argue it's completely different than anything else in the universe. Consciousness is uniquely consciousness. It can't be something else. And it just happens that this completely different thing happens to be completely different in that everything else doesn't mean a damn thing, and this thing does mean something. Project value versus truth statements about value. So again, we're back to this argument. He's saying there are no truth statements about value because all we can do is value things. We can only project value. There is no such thing as actual value, so you can never have a truth statement about actual value because actual value can only be a projection. And clearly I'm arguing bullshit. Just assertion. Well, I'm saying yours is just an assertion, asshole. And yes, it's my claim. It's my claim based on my personal experience that the conscious experience I'm having is intrinsically and fundamentally valuable, that if you created a bunch of my negative experiences in the universe, you would be doing a bad thing. You would be creating unnecessary suffering, and it would mean something in the sense that it would be a negative horror you created. It would be bad. It's negative. It would not be up to your projection. It would not matter what you thought you were doing. It would not matter what you think you're doing. It would just be a fact that it's bad, and you created bad. That's my claim, yes. And it's my claim based on the fact that I have consciously experienced suffering, and I know it to be bad. Alright, so now we'll go to 940, because that's where he says a lot of crap that just says, okay, now we know why we disagree. And we can just stop having this idiotic conversation because we're not the same organism. There's just no point in aliens having communication with Earthlings, which one we are. I mean, maybe I am the alien. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. Because obviously, when I say consciousness, I'm talking about something completely different than what you're talking about. Seems quite obvious to me, anyway, that we have a different understanding of conscious experience.
I'm saying it has no meaning in terms of the value.
It's okay, so he's saying it has no meaning. I'm just saying, okay, I'm consciously experiencing it. He's telling me basically it really doesn't matter. Nail in the eye cupcake, it only matters because you're psychologically fucked up or something. You're fooled, and it doesn't really mean anything. There's no value difference between me having a nail in my eye and having a cupcake in reality. And it would be perfectly fine if all the universe, if every spherical object in the universe was sentient and could feel pain, and we just shoved nails in all their eyes, it would be okay because they would just be having a psychological trauma that doesn't have any reality. Obviously, I disagree. I think I'll say obviously. Yeah, I'm going to say it, even if this is Planet Lunatic. I'm going to say obviously. I disagree.
Word. And then the only argument you have is intelligence sees it.
Yeah, and I think that's just such a goddamn great sentence. Intelligence sees it, right? 2 fucking goddamn words, but man, does it say something, right? Because it's the difference. If you don't think it's the difference, if you don't think it was the lack of intelligence that allowed Tyrannosauruses to, eat things while they're still alive, or lions to do it right now, that it's a lack of intelligence This is why they're doing it. That intelligence would see the harm and the pain and the suffering and say, no, I don't want that on my fucking conscience. I'm going to go eat an apple or something. I'm going to go I'll eat dead shit, but I'm not going to sit there and beat the crap out of little babies every day. Yeah, fuck that. If that's what I have to do for a living, fuck the living then. Yeah, I'm not going to live if I have to sit there and... I mean, would you really? So I could put the question to you. There's been movies made, some of them just beautiful movies, this whole... I hate vampire stories, but I'm just saying there's certain foreign films that are really nice little vampire stories. I mean, very sensitively done. But yeah, would you live as a pariah? Would you live if you had to, kill other people to live? You had to ruin their lives, just totally ruin their day, for your survival? Would you accept that as the terms and conditions of your existence? And what if you had to actually feed on something like torture? What if you were a psychotic and you actually had to torture people to feel good? You were so fucked up. You had to actually see terror and horror and fear and suffering in their face to feel good. Would you say, that's okay, I'll go ahead and be one? I think you would, and that's what makes you just such a despicable, awful, horrid, disgusting, putrid creature. Putrid. You are a putrid creature.
And because I've tasted it. But we haven't even decided what it is.
Well, again, I don't have to decide what it is. Do I really have to decide what consciousness is? Do I really have to think about it very hard? What it is a goddamn happening. What it is a goddamn experience. And I think those are the only two words I need to be confident about. It's happening. It's a fucking experience. That, I think, is about all I need to know.
This external thing, you can make no descriptive statement.
Okay, again, so now he's calling it an external thing, see, because he doesn't understand metaphor. I metaphored it as, it's invisible, right? Consciousness is invisible. So we have to figure out some way to model it, some way to understand that it's something, even though it's invisible. And so I use these different points like fart gas or some other kind of pouring dirty water into a stream. The difference between pouring black in or white in. And so as the universe rolls, there's consciousness is creating the color of the stream. We're all making a contribution in the sense of how does each one of them feel. It's the dishes getting washed, right? The dishes getting washed is the value, right? The experience. So that's like for the dishwasher, that's their experience, is the dishes getting washed. And so that's what we're adding up. And he's saying, I'm actually saying there's an actual thing external to our conscious experience. No, I'm saying our conscious experience cannot be materially registered, so it needs to be understood. That's the intelligent sees it thing. Yeah. Fuck.
Above and beyond it is valued. Well, the thing
it is valued. Again, above and beyond, it is valued. Yeah, I'm saying it's the truth. I'm saying I don't care whether you value my suffering. I'm saying it's a fact that it's valuable, whether you value it or not. It's valuable. That's the argument I'm making. I'm saying the suffering of the animals has value. Whether you recognize it or not has nothing to do with the truth value of that statement. Sentience has value. The capacity to feel is intrinsically a valuable manifestation. Intrinsically. Alright? It doesn't need your approval. It doesn't need your projected, I recognize you. It doesn't need that shit. Yeah, that's the argument. And that's the argument you don't get. And I'm saying I understand that argument just from experiencing consciousness. I'm saying there's no way this only means something inside of my little brain and blah, 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 and it has no meaning as a happening in the universe. No, it has fucking meaning. And if I create a whole bunch of it, like I said, in the universe, it would be quite obvious to me it has meaning. There's no way you could create you can't create a little ball of that negative feeling if you could just take a ball of the worst day of your life and the sensations you had, and you could make those in the universe. You would know not to do that.
Tasted is the thing to you. The thing we're talking about now is something external.
No, we're not talking about something external. I mean, shit. How many times have I said the word experience, really? Being fair, people. Just be fair. How many fucking times have I said the word fucking experience? I'm talking about the tasting, you asshole. I'm saying the tasting process has value. You don't understand that? I'm not saying there's anything external. I'm not saying there's a material form to this value. The experience has value. It's a value experience. That's the fundamental nature of consciousness, is to create value experiences. That's what it's doing. It's synthesizing value. And in synthesizing the idea of value, nature, being the dumbass that it is, it made the real thing, you stupid fuck. You're really just too dumb for this conversation.
Kernels that created, which you haven't tasted.
So again, like I said, could anybody really misunderstand me when I've said experience so many times? That I'm somehow talking about something outside of our experience, that when we experience, something extra is created that goes into the real universe. No, it doesn't need to go into the real universe, because the experience is already in the fucking real universe. When I'm experiencing in the universe. When I'm tasting in the universe. And that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's idiotic to say only to me. That's stupid. Because consciousness is here. It's not like it's only two thing. This only two thing, it's just a cop-out. It's a way of evading the fact of it. You're trying to say it's only in that little vessel, and therefore nobody has to account for it. It's locked away in an entity, and therefore it's in some sort of lockbox, and nobody can get to it, and it can't mean anything. No, it's in the universe. It's happening in the universe. When a zebra gets killed by a lion, it's happening in the universe. It is not a non-event. It is an event. How many times can I say this shit?
And value is part of truth. So it's just really...
We all agree that I taste nail in the eye, I personally, and I understand that you personally taste nail in the eye. But this alternate perspective of creation in the universe...
No, existence in the universe, not creation in the universe, merely existence in the universe. An event is happening in the universe. The event is the conscious experience. The conscious tasting is an event in the universe. Not to them. Not to them. It's an event in the universe. Oh, fuck.
Create something... And I'm saying I haven't tasted this external.
Yeah, well, again, I don't know. How many times have I, again, just for the sake of honesty in this fucking debate, how many fucking times have I said the word conscious experience? I'm not talking about something outside of conscious experience. I'm talking about the conscious experience itself is an event in the universe, and it is intrinsically valuable. Now, if you think that's way too bold and bizarre a statement to make, then again, I'm just saying we really don't have anything to talk about, because to me, it's something that was fucking goddamn obvious at 5 years old, and every year since then, it's only confirmed it. Every experience I've possibly had, and every thought, and every interchange, and every philosophical discussion, that reality, that these things, these feelings, things are important, has only been verified and made even stronger as a thought in my head. I am quite certain that conscious experience is an event, and I'm quite certain that that event is a significant happening in the universe. It is not an insignificant happening in the universe. Do a little bit more, and then I'll get on with my business and perhaps come back to this rubbish.
Created something, and you're going to say something like, that's because you think it matters that it happened to you. It doesn't matter that it happened in the universe. But that saying that it mattered in the universe is just like saying the thing that is created is valuable. It's more assertion of your same point.
Right, it's an assertion of gleaned from my personal experience. What I can tell you doesn't have any meaning is this. My hand's going back and forth. Okay, that doesn't have any meaning. Not a significant event. Okay, I could bang a hammer on my desk, and I could say not a significant event. But yeah, if that hammer hits my testicles, there. Significant event is happening. You don't understand that? You don't understand the difference between the sentient experience and material things moving about. Well, fine. I'm telling you from personal experience, there's a difference. Yeah, it's complex, it's nuanced, it's weird, woo woo woo. You know, this idea that matter did this, it's creating the illusion of sensation, and the sensation has the flavor of good and bad. Wow, it's pretty impressive that matter did this, but it did it because I'm experiencing it, you fucking idiot.
So are you trying to discover the truth, or are you trying to just make up a truth? And I'm saying that value is part of describing reality. It exists in reality, and value is manifested as sentient sensation.
Yeah, so one of his common phraseologies, which
Yes, one of his common statements that there's only one thing in the universe that we know, the known universe, that has any meaning and substance and integrity and wowness, and that's consciousness. Every single thing else is a piece of shit. The rest of it is garbage. It might as well be nothing. The rest of the universe might as well be nothing, okay, because it's not doing anything significant. The conscious things are doing something significant. Good and bad is created by them in the form of sensation.
an issue is the constant I'm saying, and it counts as damning evidence for...
Well, I'm just saying, it's the same as saying, I saw. So, again, what is a witness supposed to do in court? They can only say, I saw it. Well, I'm telling you, I'm experiencing consciousness, and I can see no other way to interpret it when, like I said, don't be sticking pins in your fucking finger, okay? Take a hammer and whack one of your testicles good and hard, and I think you might get a little sense that, yeah, wow, this is something. Something's happening. Something a little more impressive than a pendulum going back and forth.
The fact that he's not in fact arguing anything, he's asserting everything.
Well, again, I can't argue, okay? I can't prove I'm conscious, can't draw a picture of my conscious experience. I can't do any of that stuff. All I can do is say, I'm impressed as fuck by the difference between Nail and I and Cupcake. Impresses the hell out of me how distant those two events are from each other. And if it doesn't impress you, and they're on a scale of good and bad, yeah, they are the opposite poles of the magnet. However you want to, you just can't get more extreme. There's almost no way to describe anything more extreme than the extreme depths of the difference between the worst suffering on earth and the most blissful joy on earth. It's just such a void, so fucking distant that you can't really measure it in any kind of ruler we even have. And it just doesn't impress you. You're just, well, it's suffering, joy, who cares? Well, that's fine. I can't communicate with you then, right? Because we don't have a premise. We don't have an agreeable universe we're existing in. The universe I'm existing in, sentience, is completely different than anything else in the universe, and it is powerfully fucking goddamn different. It isn't different by a little bit. It's different by a goddamn fucking universe of difference between a fucking rock sitting on a road and a sentient organism eking an existence out having experiences of sensation consciously. Those two things are as different can get.
Yeah. Okay, and then this argument just seems so obvious. Like that one's like, I shouldn't even have to argue the fact that my feelings aren't super feelings, and that everybody's feelings are important.
Yeah, we'll see what he says to that.
And they're important to themselves.
Okay, so what's the point, right? They're important to themselves. They're in some other world, okay? It's not an event in the universe. It's just important in some psychological way to them personally, and there's nothing to see here, okay? There really isn't. He sees it as if there's nothing to see here, okay? There really isn't anything interesting happening. Okay, a sentient on the torture chair, getting its eyeballs nailed. No, there's nothing to see there. There's nothing really happening. Okay, there's just a silly little body thing going, screaming and yelling and horror and all that kind of stuff. But it's just to them. It's not happening in the world we are concerned with at all. It's like, you know, it's outside of the book. It's like we're inside the book, and that's somehow outside the book. Because it's to them. Yeah, intelligence sees it. Intelligence says, holy fuck, if that was happening to me, I'd goddamn know it was fucking important. I'd goddamn know it's a significant event in the universe. I wouldn't let anybody say to them if it was me on the fucking table. This is just a stupid argument. Oh, fuck.
That's as far as I would agree.
Yeah, well, we're not agreeing, quite obviously. Yeah. No, I don't agree it's happening to them. I agree that it's happening to a sentient organism, and that conscious experience is the origin of value in the universe.
So you don't have to argue this. But you ought, in the video where I'm asking you to explain my experience of suffering, I'm hoping you're going to...
Oh, go, yeah, this. Explain his experience of suffering. This. I get daily injuries, okay, that make that pin, that are 1,000 times worse than that fucking pinprick. And they're nothing, absolutely nothing in my existence. They don't even register on my needle of suffering.
divulge some philosophical, linguistic way in which we bridge to the understanding, because I understand that I'm not special.
Yeah, well, you certainly don't understand what suffering is, though, if you're going to mock it by doing this and saying, look, I'm showing you suffering. That's not suffering. I mean, it's not enough of it to be... It's an insult. It's like saying, this is Mercedes-Benz. Yes, this is Mercedes-Benz. No, it's not. I mean, yes, there's some glass and there's some plastic, but it's not Mercedes-Benz. Anyway, so I'll be back later. I mean, I'll try to take notes again. I won't do this, forever video. But I think we're already done, aren't we? I mean, the rest of it I should not take too seriously, because we've already defined the problem. The problem is, he's saying, it's this to-them thing. The to-thems don't matter, number one. And he's even conceding to some point, I guess. He's conceding that if he was tortured forever, if we just kept him alive forever and tortured him forever, we could do it because it was only happening to him, and it wasn't happening in the universe, and nobody had to account for it. We could just torture him forever like a couch. We could say, okay, and then just sit on him. He's being tortured, and we could sit on him and say, hey, it's fun sitting on tortured people. And that would somehow be a perfectly reasonable version of reality. Reality, that reality would be just as good as the reality where he's eating cupcakes. Because he's just a to them. It's just happening in his brain. I don't have to account for it. It's his brain. It's not any part of the universe I exist in. I don't have to account for what happens to other people's brains. That's all he's saying. And that's just idiotic. It's idiotic. It's so idiotic that, yes, this is well, I'm just saying, it's horrifying that this is how people think. I mean, he's got a thumbs up for this. I mean, there's people who actually think this way. As long as it's happening to them, it's okay. It's not a problem. Fuck you. I mean, you're fucking psychotic. You're psychotic lunatics. I'd pass a law against it, frankly. Yeah, I'd pass a law. Pass a law against Muslims and pass a law against all the other psychotic lunatics. Fuck. Yeah, I'm back. I guess I'll just play his response parts and, tie them together. I guess. Why not? So I just made some point about, fart is a fart. A sensation is a sensation is a sensation is a sensation. Just this me, you thing is just totally meaningless. Suffering is suffering. It just doesn't matter who's doing it. I don't know how many times I can say that. Do you think it matters? I'm saying, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'm talking about in and of itself, it doesn't matter. Obviously, it'd be nice if the evil people got the suffering, but we know it doesn't work that way anyway. But it's not about who gets it. It's about how much there is. Damn it.
This is all within the context of assuming the unargued premise that this thing that's created in the universe is value.
Yeah, well, whatever. Again, I couldn't have said it clear right from the very beginning, right? If you don't get it, if you don't think suffering is meaningful, if you don't think your conscious experience is the substance in the universe, that you think there's something else more substantive, more meaningful, I'm just saying, if you're going to look in the universe and say, where's meaning? You're going to find it in the sentient organism's experience. That's where it is. Now, you don't think so? Fine. Why are we talking to each other? I think you're fucking insane. Okay? It's the most obvious fact I could possibly... It's the most certain fact, the most obvious fact, the most... Every kind of fact I'm going to say I possibly possess. I don't know how it hasn't occurred to you. It was... like I said, it was my first memories of being alive were saying, whoa, what is this shit? It was pretty fucking interesting.
And that when I attach the word value to it, that it ought to be valued by everybody and blah, 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 blah. And
yeah, that there's no rational escape. If you're logical and you put together the facts of our existence, I don't know how the fuck you escape it. Evolution created this incredible mechanism of consciousness. We're experiencing it. You're fucking having it, and you're still denying its significance. Well, fine, go ahead and deny it. What the hell? Like I said, I have no help for you. I hope you get... Look, if you're so benign, if you don't think it means something, if you don't think there's a significant value difference between cupcake and nail in the eye, I hope you get all the fucking nails in the eye. I just can't hope that all the crap that is going to have to happen in the world, all the suffering that has to happen, I hope it's somehow directed right to you. Because apparently it doesn't matter to you. Fine. Fucking cunt. I mean, it's just so... Well, look, I said, there's no... What are you going to say? Like I said, I just go back to that stupid image of him sitting there with that pin. I mean, it's such an insult to suffering, right? It's such a mockery of suffering to sit there with a pin and then say, look, I'm doing suffering. And he titles it, Let's Get Real. I mean, really? Yeah, play on words. Really? Let's get real. I'm going to prick my finger with a pin and call it suffering. This is the game he's playing. Let's get real. And he does this. Fuck. God. I mean, yeah, if there was a God, I'd really be telling him, this asshole has been mocking your whole game. Right? I mean, he thinks hell is nothing. He thinks suffering's nothing. So, I mean, look, just for the sake of it, you ought to send him at least there for a week. Something. He deserves something, right? I mean, kick his ass. Fuck him with your giant god dick.
In the instance of farts, they're indistinguishable, from whom they came in the accounting system. This would be true if you accept the premise.
Yeah, well, again, how many times did I say the premise is not negotiable? I don't think you can be rational. Okay, I don't think it's rational. I don't think it's logical. I don't think it fits in any kind of category of any kind of reasonable coalition of evidence to sit there and play some idiotic game that I don't really see the value. I see it when it happens to me, but I don't really see how it happens to anybody else. This is nonsense. It's fucking nonsense.
So this is really a long-winded analogizing of the assertion he wishes to make, not an actual argument.
Well, again, I can't give you the actual argument, okay, in the sense that it's not going to be written on a stone somewhere, it's not written anywhere. Somebody has to say it, and I'm saying it. I'm saying consciousness is a significant experience, and its significance is that it has value, that it's just covered with it. Conscious experience is just covered in value.
Not not a special presidential fart.
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
I'll wait for his part.
Let's play with
I'll be
this.
back. Okay, now we're to the splicing argument, which is just a joke. I mean, these are two separate subjects, right? We have the value argument and the consent argument. Consent argument he's not going to be able to touch. That was the first argument. But that's it. Those are the two big subjects, right? I got you on the value argument. This is for antinatalism. This isn't arguing nihilism. We're arguing nihilism now, asshole. You remember the ought gap? That's what I'm arguing now, jackass. I'm not arguing antinatalism. I'm arguing your inane, idiotic notion of solipsistic, selfish country. You fucking dumb fuck. you never catch up, do you? You're always behind. Anyway, so I just made the point that there's no changing of anything here. There's no chicanery. I've always made the same argument. I feel, they feel, my feelings have value, their feelings have value. There, we're done. That's it. Not complicated.
Played the Monty Python clinic where his interlocutor just says, "No, it isn't, because this is a sentence where I'm going to explain what the splicing is, and before I even get to that, he will not allow it."
Yeah, but you've already been over it before, and it's not true, okay? There's no splicing of anything. They're different. The consent argument is different than the value argument. They have to be argued differently because they're different arguments, you dumb fuck. One's a social contract kind of thing, and one's a absolute value kind of thing. Well, whatever. You're just too fucking stupid.
He will not allow the smooth-talking explanation of
What the fuck? I heard your fucking accusation. Your accusation that all of a sudden I'm coming along with this argument that we're the same. That argument has never not existed. My videos have always talked about other people's sentience. I've talked about animal sentience. So this is just a nonsense. This is a canard. This is just another lie of yours. Fuck, none of my arguments have changed. I've taken down none of my videos. None of them have been taken down. None of them have I retracted and said, oh, what a pile of shit that was. No, none of that happened, liar.
how there's a divergence in the reasoning and kinds of arguments. He must poison the well by preempting or trying to preempt and always beginning with, "Oh no, you're not, you're lying, you're wrong, blah 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 blah."
Well, it's the truth, and there's no way you're going to get out of this one. I don't know how the fuck you're going to get out of this one, because as soon as I play, well, I'm not going to play your part, but I mean, I'm just saying, it's right there. You did exactly as I predicted.
It's rather frustrating.
Well, then get better arguments, asshole. Better arguments than fucking lies. Yeah, then maybe you might win an argument or two if you're not such a fucking liar. Yeah. God damn. You can't premise your arguments on lies and think you're going to win. Alright. Until next time.
So, one of the arguments always made is what you're stating.
Okay, so I just pointed out that the argument being made is that sensations I have experienced, I feel them, they're important, and then I said, and other people are doing the same thing, and their sensations are important, and so that's, now he's conceding, yes, that's exactly true, and now he's going to say that somehow this subject is the consent argument. This is nowhere in this argument anywhere. I mean, it's just amazing.
I made a video suggesting that there were 3 particular arguments, and
yeah, about antinatalism, jackass, and you didn't even get that right. And I said, no, there's only 2 forks to the argument. There's a value, absolute value argument, and there's a consent argument, which is ethics. That's again, and the subject of these videos are your fucking nihilistic nonsense that there's a fucking gap somewhere between suffering sucks, suffering is sucky, and ought. Like it ought to exist unnecessarily.
It was lambasted. I mean, also, I would be quite prepared to say, yeah, no problem. That one of the third ones, or the second one, whatever, one of them clearly falls under the paradigm of being created from value, the value argument. The other argument, quite separately asserted by you in that video, was that there's...
Again, anti-natalism video. Amazing. This guy is just, you just can't find the right subject, can you?
The consent argument. And I would actually believe that if we discussed the consent argument, this would again ultimately cause you to say such statements again, that it's all
well, you know, he's going to say, well, I'll let him say it. I mean, it's just hilarious.
You know, the argument's never changed. It's about value. Ultimately, if I argue...
Well, quite obviously, if you don't need consent if you're not playing with value, right? So if you're going to say that somebody's welfare has no value, then quite obviously you don't need consent to fuck with it, because their welfare has no value. But if you're going to concede that their welfare does have value, and significant value, well, then consent becomes important. Then you gambling with their welfare, gambling with their fortune, then now that becomes an issue.
About consent with you, I think you would start alluding to value again, which is to mean that...
Again, so I would just have to, yes, I would allude to it in the sense that I can't use a metaphor like gambling it with somebody else's money at Las Vegas. I obviously can't use that metaphor if you don't concede that the welfare of the individual has value. That's right, I can't do that. Yeah, yes, that's right. There's no need for consent if nothing of value is at jeopardy. Oh, that's true. But obviously I don't believe nothing of value is at jeopardy.
Everything, every line of argument comes from this singular...
Yes, I couldn't have made this any more clear either. Yes, there's absolutely no point, in my opinion, in having a philosophy at all, making videos on YouTube, having any of these discussion, if I believed the nonsense you believe, which is it doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, I wouldn't bother with any of this shit, but no, I think it matters colossally. I think one fucking individual being tortured matters. It's a significant amount of suffering, and we're talking about millions, perhaps billions of people who will be tortured because of the stupid, moronic ignorance that you fucking assholes like you just keep marching people into. You reckless assholes who think you have rights and you show no responsibility, no respect for the suffering you impose, no respect for it whatsoever.
Did you make in the conception of something extra being made in the universe?
Yeah, there's nobody, only an imbecile would think that I was saying there was something extra besides the experience. And I've only said the word experience 7,000 times in the last 2 months.
Beyond what normal suffering, and this extra thing, you're going to label it with the nominal pointer.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm labeling the experience that I've said 7,000 times with the label of a noun pointer of value. That's right. Experiences, as I've said over and over and over and over and over again, all conscious experience has value. All of it has value. Decidedly negative, decidedly positive, or decidedly neutral. But it has a value.
Value.
I mean, really, slavery wouldn't be slavery without the suffering. This is just an idiotic conversation. Nothing bad that ever happens in the world could be bad. Poverty wouldn't be bad if it was fun to be poor, if it felt good.
Hoping to get carryover feeling from the verb value that we use in our...
Yeah, that you use, exactly. Well, I've never in my life thought of value, real value, as being a verb. I only thought of value verb being things like, idiotic things like, I like the Mets. No, the Yankees are better. That's verb valuing, and verb valuing, in my opinion, has always been just a crock of shit.
First person sense, and then the natural art of that carryover feeling.
I don't know what the carryover feeling is, so again, another pile of shit paraphrase, no doubt. Ugh. Okay, I just made the point. Bad happening, it's registered, you count it. Bad happening, we can identify bad happening, we can count bad happening, we don't have to feel their pain, we don't have to do any of that shit, we can just know something bad happened, put a mark down.
An assertion that it ought to be counted because I've labelled it a bad happening.
That's right, that's right. A bad happening should be counted as a bad happening. That's right, yes, exactly.
A value thing, and as a value, you also use the word weighting there, that you ought to weigh it, you ought to...
I didn't say any of that in that, what he's responding to, so no, all I said was we can recognize it and we should count it. That's what I said.
Count it, all from this single assumptional bridge of what he's saying is, this thing created, I label it value. Well, he could have labelled it cup, yeah?
Alright, so my last word where he interrupted was the word torture. So we're going to label torture cup. So that's what torture means. Torture is cup, it's dog food, it's hand, it's something else, but it's not torture, right? Yeah, okay, it's not bad. We can't label it bad. We can label it anything else in the universe, but we can't use the word bad. That would be nonsensical. That would be idiotic. To label torture bad? Oh, no, that's just silly. Cup makes a lot more sense. Fuck you.
What then would cup mean, is the question. Because as an existent, almost, I mean, he's using metaphorically as saying it exists, materially or whatever, he's using the nounal sense of something, and that's just a name, not a description.
Says you, it's just a name. You mean all nouns are not descriptions? I mean, please, this is idiotic. All colors aren't descriptions. I mean, there's zillions of nouns that are descriptions. And good and bad are descriptions. They're nouns. They're not verbs. Batting. It's batting. Ah, shit. Alright, now we got the to-them argument coming up. Okay, because he's saying this part where he agrees to the idea that suffering exists, and I'm saying you're not agreeing, because you're just going to them it. And so let's see what he says to that.
Well, you begin in many of your explanations, you know, you invented this analogy, this thought experiment of nailing I and cupcake, two individuals. You invented the
well, whatever. It can't happen to any other thing, okay? We are feeling organisms. That's the way it happens in. Dishwashers are washing dishes. I mean, again, there's just no point in doing this. Well, because they're individual brains somehow. Like you think it would actually make a difference if you could feel my pain. That feeling my pain would somehow make it rationally different. It would give you a rationally more of a reason to do something. It would make it more logical to recognize my pain because you could feel my pain. No, it would just be a waste of pain in the first place. It would just be a gross waste of pain, because why the fuck should you feel it? That's just a waste of pain. It's easier if you don't feel it and just recognize it. Oh, shit.
Context of to me and to you, to them. And so I'm always going to begin where you started.
Well, I didn't start there. I'm just saying I can't describe consciousness except to describe the fact that, yes, it's happening to me, okay? That's where I gain my experience. I don't gain my experience by feeling other people's consciousness. I can't do that. But I can certainly understand its existence. Oh, man. So, yeah, again, intelligence gets it. Dumbass doesn't get it. Jesus, fuck. Okay, so I didn't really play much, but I was just saying I was just using the sulfur example, just using the metaphors to describe the idea of the value being created as we experience. And I was just getting to the word torture. that the torture is like real or something. And he interjected.
He's being metaphoric. It doesn't mean it exists as a substance. And this is a problem with dialogue as well, because...
Oh, because you can't tell it's a metaphor. I used 3 different metaphors. I used farting, a stream, and I don't remember what the other one was. And you couldn't tell those were metaphors. Fuck.
His soul loves the sound of his own voice, and the soul loves to repeat everything and all his assertions and the men.
That's right, and that's I'm afraid I'm not going to repeat that even more, right? I mean, I've only said conscious experience 7,000 times in the last 2 months, and apparently that's not enough. I have to say it even more times because you don't get it. I'm talking about conscious experience. Conscious experience has innate intrinsic value. There is no ether, there is no sulfur, there is no anything coming off of it. The experience in and of itself has value. How many times do I have to say that now over and over again?
Many different metaphoric ways that he's come up with, you know.
Oh, so you recognize them as metaphors and just ignore them. Oh, yes, Dodge City. I'll be back. Okay, using the fart metaphor. Fart's a fart, a fart. It's in the air. It's not nothing. It's something. Anybody doing it is doing it. It's consciousness is consciousness is consciousness. Ugh. See what he says.
So why keep going back to this point? Why not begin a video recognizing where we put company and recognizing where I talk extensively?
Oh, yeah, so there. I mean, like, I haven't said it before. How many times have you heard me say, I have no help for you? How many times? Yeah, I'm saying there's no way we can possibly agree. If you can't understand the existence of suffering as something that exists, period, in the universe, that it happens in the universe, and that you can't hide it inside of personal vessels and say, now it's hidden, no one sees it, right? It's in a them, so nobody sees it, right? Because it's in a them. Especially if the them is somebody you don't even know. Right now, there's zebras being taken down by lions, right? It's the middle of the day in Africa. And yes, there's a zebra right now getting its fucking ass eaten off by a fucking lion. Right this minute. I'm not there. I don't see it. I don't feel its pain. Does that mean it doesn't exist? Really? Is that how it works? It doesn't exist because I don't know it exists. So now it's not in the universe. We don't have to account for it. We don't have to pay respect to it. We don't have to acknowledge it. We can just ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist because it's happening to them and we don't feel their pain. Now, if we felt their pain, then we'd have a personal incentive and somehow that would be more reasonable. Now we're being reasonable because we are personally affected. Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to call that juvenile stupid.
And what it is that why I agree, why do we part company here? Talk deeper about what your understandings of why I and others part company with you here.
Because you're hiding suffering in subjectivity. You're saying it doesn't exist as a reality, that it's a two-themer. Okay, we don't have to count the two-themers. I only have to count the I feel their painers. Those I have to count. I feel their pain. Well, those we count. I don't feel their pain. Those we don't count. That's what's wrong, you stupid fuck. I'm saying you're missing out on most of the suffering in the universe by sitting there saying it has to happen to you. It has to go through you. You have to have a feeling. Well, guess what? That's not how reality works. You have to see things. Did Columbo just stand there and go, Columbo, he's using Columbo as an icon. Did Columbo just walk into the room and just say, I'm not going to investigate a damn thing. I'm just going to wait to have a feeling. What do I feel? Do I feel the murderer's motives? Do I feel the victim's pain? Do I feel the shoe marks on the floor? Do I feel the evidence? No.
What do you understand by our misgivings that we have here?
I mean, it couldn't be any clearer. You're saying it doesn't count until you feel it. I'm saying it counts, whether you feel it or not. It in itself counts.
part company, it's because you are doing and saying something linguistically. You are trying to give a meaning and
yes, suffering sucks, no matter who's suffering.
Statement which we are objecting to.
We being who? Fuckhead, moron, douche brain, scum sucker? Who's this we anyway? Us, the nihilist cunts of America? Oh, sorry, of Great British?
Explore that. Spend more time on the exploration there, and there's more likely to be.
What? Haven't we already wasted enough time? What is there to explore? You're not conceding the existence of it unless you feel their pain. I'm saying that's a ludicrous standard for recognizing something suffering and acknowledging the significance and meaning of it. You want to say that's a reasonable way to acknowledge the meaning of suffering in the world is based on the fact of whether you care or not, or whether you feel something? Well, fuck you. I think it's inanely anti-logic.
More progress.
Yeah, there's no progress. I hate your fucking guts. I can't stand your stupidity. Your ignorance makes me want to vomit projectably. I mean, I just can't stand this nonsense, this drivel coming out of a fucking adult's mouth. This is idiotic. It's idiotic. Okay, I left off with, you're going to say it has no meaning in the whole game. So let's see what he says.
Well, we agree that they are bad to me, right? That's what you bring up, yeah?
Yeah, again, insignificant. I think it's, I can't say it any clearer. We can't use the word we agree because I don't agree that that's at all significant. To me, to them, not significant. It's not a relevant thing to bring up. It's like bringing up, we agree that all the people have toes. Now let's talk about ethics. So we agree that everybody has toes. Let's talk ethics. No, it's meaningless. Meaningless fact.
This is an agreement. And I'm just going to keep saying that you can't assert what you're going to assert. Yeah? And understandably,
no, I already asserted it, and I can assert it because I have personal experience with it. So again, I'm going to say, yes, I can assert it. I am asserting it. I'm witnessing the consciousness. I understand the significance of the difference in value difference between a nail in my eye and me eating a cupcake. And I understand that value difference is identically the same for all these other sentient beings. And this is a fucking idiotic and ludicrous conversation to be talking about whether or not I should feel their pain before they have pain. Their pain isn't pain until I feel it. That's ludicrous. That's nonsensical. That theory, all right, there's no way you can defend that theory. That the pain doesn't exist unless you feel it? Fuck you.
You need to, I've raised objections why you can't assert it. Yeah? Or moreover, trying to get you to recognize that it is an assertion. Yeah.
Again, you can call it whatever you want. Yes, it's my theory of reality. My theory of reality is that I'm conscious, I'm having the experience, I'm a professional at it in a sense, I'm doing it completely, and I'm saying quite clearly that it's a significant thing. It's not rock rolling down the street, it's not... I don't know, it's not fire, it's not lightning, it's not any other thing, it's consciousness, and this means something because it has a value taint all over it.
That intelligence sees it, that it's got it value wrote all over it, blah blah blah. They're empty statements to back up this premise.
Well, you can say it's empty. I'm just saying I can't imagine how you could possibly demonstrate to me how it's empty. How it's an empty statement when I've personally experienced it. So you're going to tell me it's an empty statement for me to make a distinction between torture and bliss. That's an empty statement to say there's a decisive, fundamental value difference between torture and bliss. Well, I have no help for you, you psychotic lunatic. I hope you get tortured over and over and over and over and over and over forever and ever and ever, and that all the torture that other people feel is dumped right the fuck in your lap because you're an insane motherfucker. If you don't think there's a difference, then fine. I hope you get exactly what you advocate for or what you ignore existing. If you're going to ignore its existence, I hope the non-existence of it fucks you in the ass as hard as fucking possible. But you'll probably just bail out. Yeah, why? Why will you bail out? Too chicken to take the unimportant, insignificant suffering? How come? You're a them. Thems are supposed to be able to take it without complaining. Come on, you're a them. Why can't you take a little suffering, fucking pussy? Jesus fucking Christ. Now, back to me. Alright, we'll be done with this soon. I'm almost out of time on this camera. Not counted as a bad thing happening in the universe. He says...
Whether it ought to be counted is the question between...
Yes, exactly. The ought that it should be counted is goddamn obvious because it's bad. It's already been assigned to the label bad. Bad things should be counted. Good things should be counted. Things of significance should be counted. Things that are good or bad should be counted because those are things of significance.
Us. We need to focus more time on that.
No. I need to focus less time on having conversations with mutant fetuses, with 6 foot tall motherfucking fetuses. Why am I? It's a fucking zygote. Why am I arguing with a fucking zygote? You're a zygote.
Not you telling, you're just interjecting, telling everybody what everybody knows, what you knows, what I knows.
Well, you don't knows it. I'm sorry, you don't knows it if you think, if you feel it, it exists. If you don't feel it, it doesn't exist. Then you don't knows it, buddy. You don't know shit.
Yeah. And that I'm not accepting your premise.
Yeah, you're not accepting the premise, and then I think even if you accepted the premise, I don't know if you would even accept the facts because you're still going to be sitting there saying, I don't feel it. Even if you accept other people feel actual good and bad sensations, you're still going to argue if you don't feel it. I didn't know it happened. It's none of my business.
And that I want more justification for it. More justification.
Oh, who cares? I don't care. I don't really care what you want. Again, why am I talking to something? Why am I talking to a tree? Why am I talking to a brick? A brainless piece of shit who doesn't seem to understand the difference. You can't acknowledge the difference and then say when it's in a them, it's not it's the same difference. Somehow it means something else. There's no ought anymore. There's no personal imperative. There's no reason to care. There's no reason to get up and do something. There's reason when it happens to me, but there's not reason when it happens to somebody else. Well, frankly, that's not reasonable.
That says it's some sort of description of reality. If it's
yeah, good. You know, I sure got a great counterpunch there, boy. Yeah, I never saw that one coming.